think so. We see. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we can start our daily practice. Do you have?
I'm sorry, it's not much more. I mean, because I think it's really strong. So
Coffee is that?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
But that's okay, we can share. Oh, you've got it right there. Look at that. Thank you, James.
Yes,
Oh.
that have chapter 2.
Is there any prayers that we need to bring from? We got some printed, but not in this room.
Can I have
prayers like aspiration prayers, Adriano?
Can I have a prayer book?
No, I think we do our regular
Opening.
Yeah, this. Yeah.
Does this have chapter 2? Okay.
That's page 13, chapter 2.
Okay. Oh, page 13. Could you also give me my Zen? Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Thank you. We'll begin on page 1 of the prayer book, and we'll do once in English and once in Tibetan, the prayers. And if you haven't done them before, when we chant in Tibetan, the bold letters, so beginning on page 1 in the prayer book, when you see the bold, that's the transliteration or pronunciation of the Tibetan. You ready? All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Page 2. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Diye chede sama jige bardo langa ye songge wala go ma she bardo langa ye songge wala go Tudene zonde nyama zonda zamje bardo langa ye songge wala go. Page 3. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind Brute Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Namge dada nyambe semjen damje choju de somge deshi shikpa tam jige ko son toy yoden tenle tam jige ngogore churba chuje pumbo tongra jeju sajin jungne Pabe gendu tam jige ngada Chunchen zawa dan jubar jibe Parden lama tamba namla gyatsu Chiwo yedan jimbor jelazo namla gyatsu Chiwo Sanje jomden de namla gyatsu Chiwo Tambe namla gyatsu Babe kendum namla gyatsu Pawan kandro jojong sume zo Yuje jandan demba namla gyatsu Page 4. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Sanje nyingbo chiji ba sanje namla gyabsun chi chudan sanje samba ye tolan deshin gyabsun chi jedar ye deshe ge chanjo toni gyeba tang chanjo sembe la ba la deda remjin de badar deshin rola bendon de chanjo semne gigishin deshin de la ba la remba shin de la ba gi. Page 5. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Sanje Chudang Boje Chonam Lai Changchu Bardu Dagne Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jisoy Gibe Sonam Gi Rola Benjir Sanje Drupa Sho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Namgadan Yambe Semchen Damche Dewa Dang Dewe Gyudang Dembara Gyureche Dunga Dang Dunga Ge Gyudang Dawa Gyureche Dunga Mebe Dewa Dang Medawa Gyureche Nirin Jadang Nidang Page 6. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcend and conquer together with your disciples, please come here to this place. Bandra Samanza, Bandra Samanza, Bandra Samanza, Mali Semjen Gungi Gongoji, Nude Bunje Mize Jomzela, Ngona Mali Jijin Kingurbe, Chomden Gorche Nedre Jesus Argam Badem Bushbe Dube Aloge Gene Shabda Praticha Soha. Page 7. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Sashi Puju Joshin Metodra Rira Lingshi Ninde Gimbade Sanje Shingla Mekde Purwaye Droga Namda Jinde Jubasho Chaksa Danjujin Shabadan Jisoyaran Goshin Sowaye Gewa Jungze Dage Chisaba Tamje Zobe Janjo Jimbo. And then we flip to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the 3 realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the 5 wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love. Precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcend and conquer the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, even then I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Shravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground basis for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone, the pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth. To the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also revealed the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the 3 higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. And then we turn back to the pronunciation of the Tibetan on page 9.
Namo Namse Namdage Lama La Namse Shechen Sunju Babo Kamsan Yondro Do Sorwande Korwa Tondro Sujinje Lo Jeji Norwa Toge Jin Mazan Jume Gyawe To Kimbe Yeshi Nadandan Zewe Tani Garishin Drowa Gyamze Rambo Jin Natasami Jingane Zorwande Juni Jingandu Jinjilo Sendune Jime Namdade Lunde Choko Dobara Jinjilo Jom Dende Tejin Shikwa Rajumba Yangda Bara Zobe Sanje Rikwa Tan Shabsu Demba Dewa Shikwa Jidin Jimba Jiva Durwa Kalo Girwa Lana Meba Lada me namge domba nyame shagi gyakabo shagi do drima me balango rabdu dode kube jangzalo kamze kangni zo chudanze sajin de la gomba de morne ngane jigden nan choje song de zen ke ba ju lai chang sa
lo
nam da gong an cho do so zang wa ye je gyam zo ser ge lom bo ra ra ba je den zum na la me wan gong bo jo ne ju lai chang sa lo chen jo den ba de men da we ja se do ra wa ju lai chang sa lo de ra chen ra se ba sam na ze nyam me chen chen ju lai chang sa lo men jo der wa ka lo gen ze jing gun jo jing wa jun ze de
jin che
Om bo je dan ye je la ge ni yu ju ba de la jang sa lo Om bo tu je je den ba tam je gen ba dong ba bo Sonam yo den jang zo je di ji je la jang sa lo ta ba du cha cha we ju ge we ngen song le ro xin je de don dang jo ge ba ji ge chu lai chang sa lo ro ne ro we lam yang dong la ba ta la ra de ge xin ge nam ba yon den jing gen du la yang chang sa lo.
And so then we turn to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjushri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appear during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The voice of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas with the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointment, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense. I make offerings to the victorious ones with the finest cloths, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways. I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas, the Pratigya Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And then we can go back to page 14.
Om Baba Jambara Shana Jawala Jansa Lo Jini Sodai Chojun Jidana Tesum Jivan Senge Gundake Malu Dada Tamje La Ludang Aye Tangwe Chanje O Samboy Chube Malam Ki Jarwa Tamje Yeje Ngosang De Jenge Dunye Lura De Baye Jarwa Kunla Rade Janza Lo Torje Dunye Sanje Na Sanje Seje Wana Tadare Juje Yena Malu Batamje Jarwa Tage Kanwaramo Tada Napai Meze Janzo Na Yonje Yanlai Jansu Dragungi Jarwa Kunji Yoden Rabje Jendevara Shiva Tamje Dage Do Medo Tamban Chingwa Sinye Namdan Juba Donjo Damamin Jodan Dugu Tambai Jarwa Dada Lanin Jubraji Naza Tamba Namdan Chinjo Dan Jimmy Pamara Nyamba Donguba Jiba Babin Jogengi Jarwa Dada Layan Jubargi Chuba Kanam Lame Jajeva Dada Jarwa Damje Layam Sambo Jola Tebe Dobdage Jarwa Anjuba Doja Jadan Temo Wange Nedan Adan Deji Jan Deba Dage Jiba Jinjiba Dada Tamje Dage Sosor Choju Jarwa Guna Sanje Ziranja Namra Lodan Melodan Rawa Gunji Sonam Kang Yanda Dai Gunji Jizu Dai Ran Kana Choju Jiden Drama Jonjo Ramba Sanje Majani Gomba Dada Dage Tamje Lan Kolo Lana Mebara Kurwa Nyamyen Dadan Kanji Ndrowa Kunla Benjin Dewe Che Karwa Shingi Duni Shubha Yang Dage Tarmo Raja Sawarge Chansarwa Dan Chujin Shabwa Dan Yesu Yeran Korshin Ye Kewa Jungze Dage Jesa Ba Tamche Zogbe Changju
So then on page 16, please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Namgi Sambadhan Loye Cheda Cheda War Chechun Tumun Tibaye Chujin Kolo Kordo So Duzon Zonje Dhan Jejin O Redon Jin Korjam Soch Kadin Some Turje Dhani Savela me javje be motrna me balango rabde de gosam guba jembo gone cha zarjin jabsun chevo yevane zerajin chwa tam je de to za jembo gone jesus 주신 제 라바란자 도서 공개 셔선 다행한 것은 전ben 동라진 전배서 전조서 엔로 근에게 되세 특진다마 근이 주는 지대선健康 자베통 베마걸 보다른 달로 연소로 좀 우리 전소는 뱀에 동보자 저베 남로롱 정르제 천조배에 요된 존바에 뱀만중에 달로 벤소 좀 신이던 그 시신석 벤천세진 거라 공신 조금 자모만 바선제로로 근대년 Kudong Yeshi Dripa Mekong Chuyin Kalang Zipa Kong Jambar Chuna Kulen Kawe Sokin Chu Intro Pema Karbon Zambe Shar Song Zara Zambe Chava Nyinga Maze Lo Ronjo Zurwe Yang Jing Ake Bar Monda Yi Jong Kong Zhe Do Karan Chen Nying Bongo Yoden Kun Jong Kawe Jizar Nimbo Tongse Bebe Nan Jurwa Chame Zar Shab Je Da Yim Jong Shia Gun Sen Ro La Je Se De Chame Zar Yang Zhe Tu Den O Sar Long Chen An Ke Nan Jurwa An Jing Me Lan Be Sha La So De Che Zar Jar Ve Se Po She Wa La Ndar Cho Be On Che Sha Wa Re San Pong Cho Dang A Rang Zho Jing Mi Chu Je Mong Bo Da Yi Jong Dong Jambar Chone Chalale Gombe Dong Le Bobe Dirji Choro Long Do Chonze Jan Zona Mi Pam Jam Yong Nam Jala Gui Jan Sa Yoden Sanji Kun Tanyam Nayang Kanri Sanji Kun Le La Bing Gong Zawe Lama Zelas Tao Sun Rove Lona Chulai Jur. Thank you, everyone. Still have energy to come here gathering in the Sunday gathering. I think today's Sunday, yes? Okay.
Yes, Sunday.
And also people who are online. Thank you for coming. And I think we need to start with our normal business, or what's called general business. We need to think about Tongmar Samba Jachewa Shangchup Semji Gunong Sayat and Chu Nyendu Drobdu Jito Nyamne Kangshi Vikapsina Kechembore Tendu Tongmar Shangchup Chot Semji and Titol Zawangaj Gunong Senari Zamno Tang Tang Jur Tilla Tab Jachewa Zawangaj Gunong Sente Hugdoa and the Gunong number Nin Tatan Tab Jachewa Zawangaj Gunong Tabu Gunong number Nin Kechembores.
And so in the beginning, or kind of as a preliminary to the teachings, just as we usually need to, in the beginning, we establish a pure motivation by first generating the vast intention of bodhicitta, the mind of awakening, which is really important, in any of our Dharma activities, whether we're listening to the Dharma, whether we're practicing the Dharma. It's really important that we at first generate that pure intention of bodhicitta. And then in addition to that, we also have the intention that's based on the vast methods of secret mantra. So tiniti kunlong danam ribe or kunlong
Nok Gulang said
which is primarily the motivation or the mind state of pure view. And so when at the outset of any Dharma activity, whether receiving teachings, whether practicing, then we make sure that we establish these two.
That nam also Chuyinzo Kazong Oma Tenkashi Shusimbari that Tendu Hanam Lev Tangbote also Sarin Sari and Lev Nimbane Gonzo Yares.
And then, so
having established that, then we can pick up where we left off last time in the text, the Chuyingzo, which is the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena. And actually, we finished chapter 1, so now where we're picking up is with chapter 2. Page 13?
13.
In the English.
Tene,
Second paragraph.
levu tangbo ki yogla karsana. End of the chapter 1, it says, this is the first section of the precious treasury of the basic space of phenomena, which is his Richibam's translation, but we sometimes use Dharmadhatu. Yeah. Demonstrating that samsara and nirvana by nature do not stray from basic space. That the first chapter. Tandana Chuyingzu Dikapso Tanda Levijuk Sonta Tom Jikina Mankevi Hakovich and the Levijuk Somu Yores.
And so, as you may or may not be familiar with, this text itself consists of 13 chapters.
That chapter relation, live relation to Mishikona to some young Gondor, Tind, Dona Lewu Juksum Ti, He Lam Jiva Senanda, Tawa Gomba, Yuban, Drivasana, Tendenal, so Dune, and yours.
And so each of the chapters, so dinda rere shindu kakado roa. Pena leu kashe ji leu kashe lam leu kashe dribu. Oh, did someone do?
If I explain every chapter, then 6 times, so just to some sort of
sum it up.
Sum it up, and he lam dribu or tawa kumba kuba dribu.
So there are there's kind of the extensive explanation, but in brief regarding this or this kind of categorization, but in brief, these 13 chapters deal with the ground, the path, and the fruition, or sometimes what it's referred to as the view, meditation, conduct, and fruition. And so, yes.
Shilam de som de jerton zokchanda chacha chenpo jigwa mayimba and kang kanda umata kandre gaps then here into kandrijil hisegur kandrijil lam segur kandrijil driva segur then rich rob tam ha kawaina then jerton pechander the mayimbi pecha shandala yung kowa layalene le lao ta pendo chenpo yoris.
And so pecha shimba kona di le lagre or di kona shimba le lagre?
Shilam de sonke nam yak sendo nam yak hakona pecha karina le lao chakres.
Oh, okay.
Koyal.
So this type of or this specific categorization of ground, path, and fruition is a common categorization throughout all Dharma literature. So like in the context of Dzogchen, in the context of Mahamudra, in the context of Madhyamaka, they may vary somewhat in how they are described or what it is that they're referring to in each of these. But when we have a solid understanding of these categorizations, ground, path, and fruition, for instance, then whatever text it is that we read becomes it's easier to understand, based on that understanding.
근데 시스도 가르쳐줬으나 하고고야 또고야 시고야 들 시색을 그래서 단다 템바 시시베 값수 동ар 시브르샤 생도 단다 시 하고고야 들라 시색을
And so, for instance, the ground, or sometimes you might say like the basis or the foundation. So in the context of, say, the Four Noble Truths, the first of the Four Noble Truths is you should understand the truth of suffering. And so this then becomes the ground. That's in this context, the ground is understanding the cause or understanding the truth of suffering, that there is suffering.
근데 동ар 시니 동아인 바하고는 근데 간디 중사 간디 중도 하고야 될 군중스 레톤 뇽모 바스네 시그라 근데 하고야 될 시당 자와 따고 하고야 될때네 맞죠 따와생도
And so then once we know the truth of suffering, we're able to recognize suffering as suffering. Then the second step, which is understanding the origination of suffering or the cause of suffering, knowing that suffering comes from or originates from the afflictive emotions and karma, then that becomes the view. So the view, first there's the ground, knowing the truth of suffering, knowing that there is suffering, and then understanding the cause of suffering, the origination of suffering, which is the view.
Lam serva, dongar shebershas, kunjung pangarshas, lam gombershas. Dongar se dich ha shegores, ha kogores, dongar kingo junsenda jeva. Kunjung se ade, da dongar chungsa gishete, le da nyomo bayindu, zawat ha kone, zawat meba sogores. Meba societe karesana, lam. Lam said gomgris, lam gombarsha senga. Tene lam gomne karchagresana, dongar mebachan, dongar te mebachagres karesana, kunjung ledon yomu batsawatan jebate, lam gombalatane, pane, tartokin river. Ngokpa ngunde chas, ngokpa sayate, rang jula. Mus tobrich gres, kaindu. Benro cha shawina ngazo temba shishi vi kapsuyo tene tanda shilam resom jarni shia yor tindu to the kitchen mores.
And so then, once we know the truth of suffering, we also know, accurately see what is the source or the origination of suffering. Then there is there's the path, the truth of the path. So we should know, the path of habituation or the path of meditation, which leads to freedom from suffering. And so in that case, then the path being, that which leads to the freedom from suffering, or which leads to the fourth, which is the cessation of suffering or the end of suffering. And this is the means to, one progresses in such a way through the practice of the path that we are able to abandon more and more the cause of suffering, being the karma and the afflictive emotions. And then ultimately the result of that is the fruition, which is the fourth noble truth, this cessation or freedom from suffering. And so in that way, the third one, the path, is path. So in the context of ground, path, and fruition. And the fourth is fruition, which is the result or the outcome, Buddhahood.
Teacher Songji, then Dzogchen Gikabs and the Hisa, the taste na Matsun Doni Shedeva, the Namju, Demba Hishi Vikap, and the Dungar Shebrisha, Dungagi, Shungsa Kunjung Teong, Hako, the Jiguamaimba, Tanduna, Korwatan Yangel and Deva Ninga Shi, the Kararin, Korwan country Chondo, Yangel and Deva say at the country Chondo, the Nin Jungsak Hit Kararin, Tiller, the name, Dzogchen Gikabsu, Dzogchen Hisa.
So now, on the other hand, when we talk about ground in the context of Dzogchen, so here we explained what these are, kind of ground, path, and fruition, or view, meditation, conduct, and fruition. So in the context of the Four Noble Truths, but in this difference there is like here the view being, for instance, in the Four Noble Truths, understanding the cause of suffering, the origination of suffering. In the context of Dzogchen, because samsara and nirvana are both kind of the same essence in the ground, that they are both arisen from, or the essence of or their essence is that of the ground itself. So this is the ground in Dzogchen. That's what we're referring to when we speak of the ground, is the source of both samsara and nirvana, kind of like the ultimate ground. Yeah.
The Ju Yong Kang at so and Matsukashi Manjuba, the Tagara, in the Omega Zion, she was my Dani Sungjos, she was my said, Dembani Song the Jubatel, she said, Lamb or my Tony Sungjos, Lamb or my said, Tony Song the Juba, Sunam the Yeshi, Sunam the Yeshi, Song the Juba. Jivu uma kunyi song to you was kunyi said
Uma.
Jivu umara. Jivu uma kunyi song jos. And the chukutong sukus. Nambani song to you were. Tell us. Then the shiva madambani song to you was a teller. Kowalane. Tetsu Chengit and the Hitan. Jarwaina. Young Dzogchen Gishitila Koyal Pendoyare.
And so then in the context of Madhyamaka, there are, so the ground is referring to, or the ground in the context of Madhyamaka is the indivisibility of the two truths, the relative truth and the ultimate truth. And the path in the context of Madhyamaka is the indivisibility of the two accumulations, being the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of wisdom. And then the fruition in the context of Madhyamaka is the indivisibility of the two kayas, being the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya, or the Dharmakaya and the two form kayas, bodies. And so then to understand, for instance, the ground in the context of Madhyamaka, the indivisibility of the two truths, the relative and the ultimate, also helps in terms of understanding the ground in the context of Dzogchen as well. Your benefit.
내가 Dzogchen 값 틀리 사가서 그래 뒤돌 가르쳐 그래서는 시 내값서 되네 꾸좀데 얘네 족대봐 얘네 창대봐 그리고 대인들 뭐 동바 추쿠스 랑이서와 롱쿠스 두개 근접 두쿠스는 꾸좀데 시고 너나 시험마 대니 성적이 값서 덴바니 세드 나와서야들 그접 덴바치 동바 시바들 통담 덴바치 대니 성도 주바들 시험마 대니 성적 Dzogchen 값서 뭐 동바스 세야데 단다 오메값 시비 통담 덴바 랑시 오 살바스 뭐 동바 랑시 살바스 세야데 단다 나위 찬 시거로 대인도 특제서야 돼요 나위 찬 시거 대인도 Dzogchen 시태요 너나 덴바니 성도 주바
Dorna.
너나 예
Dini Zungjuba.
음
So Chikbado.
지금도
So in the context of Dzogchen, the ground already possesses the indivisibility of the three kayas. So the three kayas are already primordially perfected within the ground. This is the very essence of the ground. And so also the essence itself is often referred to as possessing, especially in the context of Dzogchen, there are these specific terms that are always referred to as, expressing the characteristics of the essence, and that is that, or of the ground. That is that its essence is empty, so it is empty in essence. Its aspect is clarity, or you could maybe translate it as luminosity, and its, what do you say, function, or
특제
Tukje kunkya yini yang pena ngowo
No Tongba is in the Madhyamaka we have emptiness, yet the ultimate reality.
And then the function is that it is all-pervasive compassion. There's all-pervasive compassion, or sometimes it's translated as all-pervasive spontaneous presence. And so the two truths, this indivisibility of the two truths, the ultimate truth is emptiness, like in the context of Madhyamaka, and the relative truth is appearance in the context of Madhyamaka. So you have like the indivisibility of appearance and emptiness. And in Dzogchen, both these characteristics as they're described, emptiness, clarity, and all-pervasive compassion, since there is this natural sort of spontaneous kind of expression, which is the clear light, or the clarity or luminosity aspect, which is also the appearance side of this indivisibility of emptiness and appearance. And the appearance side is also compassion. It's the expression of compassion that spontaneously manifests. And so that the all-pervasive compassion or spontaneous presence. So actually the ground of Dzogchen, as it is understood in the context of Dzogchen, being possessed of these three qualities, is also the same as Madhyamaka, which is this indivisibility of the two truths.
자저 첨부 값이나 단다 손바랑 정도지 깔마바랑 정도지 착치 몰라나라 장시 심리 자탄 숨죽라스
Okay.
장시
Simni
심리 자탄
Salton
숨죽라
Zumjula.
장시세는 base of purification. Jiangxia, what is to be discarded or purified. Jongya lower Treasury Chimanams, lower Treasury Wang Chima Nams. Jongxi Chakchen Dorje Nanjul, Ches.
Chakchen Dorje
Nanjul.
Nanjul.
Jiangzhe, Jiangwenjebo, Chichal, Chukumunjur Hills, and the Chuji, Chimatang Televi.
Oh, Jida.
Chuji good Mundanjur Hills. And they're not Chaja Chambu Gaps and the Yon His and the Zokchen Gaps, His and the Chachen Gaps, Hiti, Zalton some jokes, and the make up some non tong some jokes at non tong said. No one shared it, but country in Madame could be no one in a washing country no one. No one to say, no one thanks. Telling out the gaps down, Chakens or Chen gaps, Zaltons, Zalbaton Tombas, and she take the Macedon, Yatomba Shetan Jarvaina, non ton, Zarton, Deton, Rictons, and Shetan Jan and Donna Rictons, and it's option gaps. Here, the Jaria, turning
Zokchen Kapla Kare?
Ricton.
Victim. So then when it comes to Mahamudra, so for instance, the Karmapa Rangjung Dorje says that explains it that that which is the basis of purification or the ground of purification is the essence of the mind itself, the true nature of the mind itself, which is the indivisibility of clarity and emptiness, or luminosity and emptiness. And so then that which is to be purified, the object to be purified, or the object that is of purification, are the temporary stains, the defilements or obscurations of like the deluded mind, or the delusions of the mind. And then the one who purifies, or kind of the agent of purification.
Kyung-hit is more like meditation rather than a person.
Oh, okay. So it's yoga instead of yogi. Yoga.
Yes,
okay.
yoga, yeah.
And so then, yeah, what did you say? The action of purification, or what did you say? I'm sorry.
Kyung-hit. Hit is the agent.
So it is the yoga, the Vajra yoga of Mahamudra itself. And then the fruition of purification is the Dharmakaya, like free from all stain or free from all defilement, or the full kind of manifestation or maturation of Dharmakaya free from defilement. Oh, and so Mahamudra, so we have as it is Mahamudra and Dzogchen, and then in Madhyamaka, so you have, it's the indivisibility of appearance and emptiness. And this means, so appearance means all that appears and exists, impure phenomena, pure phenomena, both. In Mahamudra, the same thing is referred to as the union of clarity and emptiness. And sometimes, in general, these are referred to, sometimes bliss, the union of bliss and emptiness, the union of, appearance and emptiness, which is kind of specifically how it's said in Madhyamaka, the union of clarity or luminosity and emptiness. And in Dzogchen, it is referred to as the same thing, is referred to as the union of awareness and emptiness, or, awareness and emptiness. Victim.
If you want to see or check or want to understand these four emptiness with appearances, luminosity, and bliss and Rigpa or awareness is Patamba Sanji's Tingrijatsa. Are you familiar with it? Patamba Sanji wrote a short.
I think so.
Yes, exactly. If you look at there's four unions in there, and he described in a differently. But people or Mahamudra and Dzogchen teachers, they think these four unions are each one kind of superior to the.
Oh, that's progressive.
Yeah, progressive.
Yeah.
You can see the non-tong is in the Madhyamaka interpretation, and the Zartong, the Rangjung Yeshi's, Rangjung Dorji's explanation in the Mahamudra aspiration is not necessarily saying Chapchen is only this, but it could be Rikdom too.
Could also be the union of awareness and emptiness. And specifically in the context of Tantra, like generation stage, or not specifically?
Not necessarily. Okay. It's view. It's more like this is view.
Okay, so the view in Tantra is the union of bliss and emptiness, is what it's referred to.
Tene that semla shan tene nasondene mar lona jerton megowai ko metoba tene kalida mandoga chuyenzo jerton lona yang hakogro.
So when some of these concepts are hard to understand, it's actually very helpful, useful, or beneficial to read the verses of the Chuyingzo, or this Treasury of the basic spaces of phenomena. So actually just reading through helps with understanding.
Tene tene tsoma hyutobu mare matse levu tangbo ne goba parto tsoma te shiyi kola re teindu levu gobal matsar parto shirang kesha shigores.
And so the first, the Dangpone Gupa bar. Okay. So the first 9 chapters, actually, so from the first chapter to the 9th of this text, is primarily dealing with the ground in this categorization of ground, path, and fruition. I mean, yeah.
Ne lewu chubate na lam senata gumba sena teshigore.
And then the 10th chapter is primarily dealing with path or meditation.
Tene tanda shi lam driu sedu som shigore ina tawa gumba gyoba driu sedu shi chen shigore. Tende lewu chubate tene gyoba shigore.
Leu Chuchikari.
Gyoba.
Kanda. So then on in chapter 11, so if you just as we have the divisions of ground, path, and fruition, we also have the divisions of view, meditation, conduct, and fruition. So chapter 11 is primarily dealing with conduct.
Gyoba sayate driu gombata nyamdo shigoya jumsan karasana po gyobin dun sendwa. Hit tawa jiro. Te gumbi koni nyamslang hor. Rongi ha kowa te rongi yula nyamnyong yoba sheyala gomjab nyamlen che sayate chagdwa. Te dawi nyamlen te yakbo chayala gyoba tegi choche ko po gyobin dun sezi gyoba tegi choche ne rongi nyamlen te yar tong yala gyoba te sang tong go gore gyoba satar.
And so this conduct kind of contains both meditation or path and fruition. And so whereas the ground corresponds with the view. So if you are speaking of view, meditation, conduct and fruition, and whereas the conduct, and then there's path, and then conduct corresponds with both path, or the path and fruition. So both of those are contained in conduct. And so the conduct also contains meditation. The conduct is meditation along with the other forms of conduct. And so this greatly assists the understanding. So the conduct sort of assists the meditation, and as experience increases, then that also affects the conduct, and the conduct affects the experience or the practice, and helps the practice to really develop, to really come to maturation. And so the conduct is a companion to development, the development which is really, the development of the path or meditation. It causes the meditation or the path aspect to become sort of brighter and brighter, or purer and purer.
Tenetan level tambo kapso Kurwata Yangalin de Ningata Shi ne kapsagor Hige Shene Dana Kanya Yuyo Maris Tene Tur Tune Shili Mayuba Sondu Shil Rangi Tola Ne Devare Mato Shili Shendu Churwa Choryo Maris Ter Yinata Young nga zo lo ninjin de jebe kangza tendela korwa sa ya tender nyangel de ba se ndere sene tene hiyan do tin de ta tin de kanre jene shar yomare se na tin de kanre jene chakware yesana tene levenin be kapso tana korwa nyangel de ba nin pote shile levenin be kapso Korvata Yangal Devani Kandich, Shin Kandich Sharares, to hear.
And so the first chapter, dealing with, primarily with the ground, that, is really emphasizing this quality of there never having been any wavering from the ground, that the ground never wavers, that all of the qualities of the ground are there primordially without wavering, without transition or change. And then, they don't, even during the time of obscuration, they don't change in any way or become different. But however, and the ground itself is the indivisibility of samsara and nirvana, that both of these are the nature of the ground, and that even throughout sort of this experience of samsara, there is never any wavering from the ground. But for one who has dualistic fixation, even though like the true reality is that there isn't really any difference, with respect to samsara and nirvana. But for one who has dualistic fixation, there appears to be the difference. There is the experience of samsara, and there is nirvana in juxtaposition to that. And so the second chapter talks about the way in which samsara and nirvana are the ground, the expression of the ground.
Project and Tamboche law.
So we'll first read in Tibetan, and then we will read in English on page 13.
We stop here, but we can start from here.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and start at
we
the
just
top.
read until third paragraph, and I think we, according to our how to say, record keeper. And so on page 13, paragraph 3, but we can read from the beginning. This is important. Yinjira ye done lundra la shadana me gunda jabarada anta ye me dingo chongzan de yondoni me rigwan kadara me samdra da travelonye do jemi le je chondru na je yoma me da yong jama de yemen zong upon zema me chonyanam gandra virani la yemen ro manche dondara kundegin je ngo yang jo zema yuma je mangi lundro me gone ma karyo ma zong Najere me janjo samji long drodon me gunda jabardar. Read in English.
So then we can recite in English. Want to do the chanting? What? Oh, no, okay, yeah. Given that basic space is by nature primordially and spontaneously present, it is infinitely pervasive with no division into outer and inner. Without any limiting boundaries, it is beyond division into above or below or any other direction. Beyond the duality of spacious versus narrow, awareness, pure like space, is this very expanse free of the elaborations of a conceptual framework. The magical expressions that originate within unborn basic space are completely indeterminate and are not subject to any restrictions whatsoever. They cannot be characterized as things, for they have no substance or characteristics, and that their nature is like the panoramic vista of space. They are unborn, spontaneously present, and free of any time frame, any beginning or end. The essence of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind, spontaneously present, not occurring, not originating, and not finite. It has not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere at all. The expanse of awakened mind with no linear time frame does not come or go, for it is infinitely pervasive.
If sarvatene yona in kazonats lev tambu gabso yings says long that tane the he kecha he vena to so tanda pokela tane tombe chat mangche the tombe ke chat the he goes tomba mo tomba se ti chat into to so tanda di knowledge yate basic space journal ronoso kowa kalen karjo yige karpichu donan rigro kowan rawaji laten ying seduje tongba jigo maimba tene telayang kusumke rangxiang ngowo chong dewa jela kona 마토용 동바 동종 하고 space 기본으로 하고 송이나 고발렘바이나 네 고와용 타바 자그요서 말에 될 가르스나 당본인의 네 레브 당보가 없어 영지랑 이도네 순도라서 영지랑 있어야 된다.
당부대.
Yata, the basic space is by nature primordially spontaneously present. So the Lundrup said, the Katasekasuna, Ying said, don't but don't show my imba. Tilla, good on Yeshi, you then. Yen Lungi trop de vam.
Yeshi gare
Good on Yeshi, you then.
Yeshi.
You then Lungi trop de vatella. And Lundrup said, to Yang the Yeshi need. Tangisha, no tomba said, Rangi Salva said, song to you patella. Then Ying, Senanda, so change his senanda. And then the gaps, young carrion, Shangchip the same sen, tiny deliverers, the Ying, so change his Shangchip the same set, turned out Yigima.
Ying Johnson, Ying Dang, Ji. So for those of you who are new or haven't been joining us prior, there was a lot of discussion about some of these terms that appear again and again. So in the first chapter, for instance, we spoke at length about these two terms that are similar but slightly different, ying and long, which both are sometimes either translated as space or expanse. Or sphere sometimes. So we here it's ying is translated as basic space, but during this discussion with regard to the nature of the ground. So the ground itself, has this essence of emptiness. It is the essence of emptiness, but if it isn't just emptiness. But this empty essence is what is meant, or what is being referred to when we speak of ying or basic space or space or expanse or the sphere, this sort of primordial sphere. But if it isn't just emptiness, because emptiness automatically comes with that quality or that aspect, its nature is that indivisibility of the three kayas. And so within the essence itself, all of the qualities of enlightened awareness are present. So if we just understand it as space, then that isn't a complete understanding. If we just understand it, as yin. Or if we understand yin just to be this quality of emptiness, or this essence of emptiness without the natural expression. In the first chapter, there's also this discussion of Lundrup in the first chapter. Did we have? Or, yeah. And so Lundrup, which is
Yin, then Lundrup.
Yeah, which is another term which means spontaneously arisen or spontaneously accomplished sometimes. And so what does Lundrup refer to, this spontaneously arisen or spontaneously accomplished? So it is, there's the empty essence of the within the expanse of space or emptiness or the yin, but it is endowed with the qualities of the kayas and wisdoms. So these qualities, it is these qualities that are spontaneously arisen or spontaneously accomplished. And so that is, this aspect of clarity, right? So we have the empty essence and then the nature, the aspect of clarity or luminosity, and those two, the empty essence and the clarity, are an indivisibility. And so that
is, both are indivisibly present within the ground or indivisibly present as yin or basic space or space. He doesn't like the word basic space, so we say, even though that's what's in the translation in the text, so we just say space or expanse. Hello, welcome. And also then, so this is the Dzogchen ground. The ground is this yin or basic space or expanse. And also it is what is meant by Zhang Sim or Zhang Chub Sim in this text that which is often translated as bodhicitta, but here it actually means the awakened mind, or and so both of these, so whether it's the awakened mind, as it is referred to here, or it is yin or basic space, or if it is ground, these are all one and the same, referring to the same thing.
Second paragraph says, "Jimi ying li jiwi chunchur nam jiryong mangi karyong jia jimi."
The second paragraph, or the
Durna jiwa maybe ying, tanda jiwa maybe tali ying, jiwa maybe tali tongba ni. Uma dang Dzogchen ki tawa te jiarnit kawa lemba ina kawa lenya tali lawa jiang. Jiwa maybe tali ying se goris. Ti ying tili jiwa se te nangwa nangwa se te nang de jiwa yuwa rawa ji nang rawa. Tindu jiwi chunchur nams. Jiwa maybe ying tili jiwi chunchur nangwa tamshi te ndurna diri sen, de mari sen ta chuya yo maris. Kaina shar sigris, kaina yin chobure, kaina mina min chobure se. Te indu jiwa maybe ying, tamshi te jiwa maybe ying li. Ndurna shar yo maris, jiwa maybe te tanda ying Dzogchen ji shi. And
so then the second verse, which is the magical expressions that originate within the unborn basic space, are completely indeterminate and not subject to any restrictions whatsoever. And those are the first two lines. And so this the unborn basic space is referring to, this, again, this emptiness, so whether the view of Madhyamaka, the view of Dzogchen, the yin nangla chewa me, yin rang chewa me ba yinpa. So the basic space itself is unborn, is the unborn nature. And the appearance, dini the nangwa yang chewa me ba marebe. Nangwa chewa yopa. Okay. So then the appearance aspect is also unborn, but it appears as though it is born. It appears as though there is arising, or as it is born, or there's birth and cessation, or arising and passing away. And so, but as it says, so it says all these magical expressions that appear, as though they are born or arising, originate within the unborn's basic space, and yet they cannot be characterized as things, for they have no substance or characteristics. They are completely indeterminate and not subject to any restrictions whatsoever, which means that anything can arise. All possibilities are present, anything whatsoever, anything that there is no limit on possibilities with regard to what can arise or what can manifest.
Diniti chewa mepe ying zokchen dong jongsem glakari sungin. Jongchupsem.
Jewa meba tang changchup chisem. Changchup chisem tanda sayatana dzogchen ki xi sayatani tanda jigwa dikabs chuyin zojikabs tanda jigwa konan rigluwa. Tindu dan jewa meba te tani yingri didu jewa meba te tang changchup chisem sayan durna tonda jigwa raya.
And so again, this so the mind of awakening, or the awakened mind, or the ground, or the basic space. So here in the Chuying Zo, the treasury of the basic space of phenomena, the meaning of these three are the same.
Tandana sarvayana tes
Kape kaporwa.
kale koya kale kapor nga zo karshi yoresana namba sanjibi chula nga zo tongya kengo po sena nga zo tawar pechu danya sena nga zo ha kogiyo sena nga zo jene songdendo na mo po sena da shawa sena da leka kan kaina shukndo de nga zo tong de ya da ko de ya da shi de ya ji yorwa telen reshi ji jabyande sanji bicholo nang reshi jabdu kar jakursana nga zo tong de ba te tang nga zo sam de ba te ni takta chakyo maris karasana nerve wangi nang de ba perna ni damalam nang xin mato ngone ngopose xenda trop de ba ya maris
Ni dang.
ni jina melam yoro
Yeah, ni dang.
melam ti nang la tene melam ge nang wan da men da xero tindu turn trop de ba yo maris turn trop de ba mena yo nga zo trop dar do zene nga zo ngoban cham de yoris ten cham de nga zo le mambo chi sa yoris le kar sa yorisna rong ge cholan do ba chen do cha xian ge chol dang wa chen xie dang ene 당고 그런 자와 그런 하마고네 마릭선 나 독솜세야로 독나선한테 작도라서라 야네 독나선 야야 다 텔라 땡지네 되는 아주 동안 나서 봐지 인용데 거래서 그러게 나와 동안 용야 된 아주 하마고네 마인 빠지를 엠브르송네 되네 동날 거래서 땡겨 동날 때 매버 소야라 되네 내추 모네 하고 그랬어. 내추 모네데 되네 다 저통 상주 출로 mambo here the yenna ndikabs karshi yoresana rangi semti tegi soshaba trunshaba mato chingmo posechi yo mares na malam no mato karshar de na yo rangi semne sharyan ware mato sharjun was tin du sem koron la zamna tang shawina ana sem koron tene shitsa meba ham donna sem koron opo matro bajres de indu kanduna korwa se dungar ge ran yi chen yu devate donna ngaso lowert ngaso marik bang su sha wemba ate shego te zo sem sha de na tene rigor mato yon kapsu di non la sik mambo tani mambo te yon tes koya kale yores ina ta zo te higer na marek wangi shar de va imba ti marek ba korong yon ngo me ba te Tetsi chuni, teni nga tsu dungart. Nyong tangni meba soto gores.
Mereka kurang yang nepa
Hakone.
hakone.
Teni nga tsu dungart. Onto gores.
So Khenpo just wants to acknowledge that this is very difficult content to understand right off the bat. You know, if for those who might be new to this, so you know, so to sort of try to put it into maybe language that is easier to understand, according to the Buddhist view. So like everything that appears and exists, everything that we see, all phenomena, all that kind of occurs in this life is actually, not really as it appears to be, or it isn't as we take it to be or understand it to be. So all of our thoughts, all of the way in which we kind of conceive of reality is actually kind of based on a misunderstanding. There's sort of this misunderstanding or mistaken view about reality, but the way that what reality actually is more like, because we think that things are real, things are true, things really exist, but it's actually more like, for instance, the appearances that appear in a dream. When we dream, or when we're sleeping and we have dreams, and things appear, all sorts of different things happen in the dream, and during the time that we're sleeping, we actually think that this is really happening. We really think it's reality, and we don't realize that it's not really reality until we wake up and we realize that we've been dreaming. And so it is actually very similar, a sort of similar thing, according to the Buddhist view, with waking reality. That the way that we think that things are, or the way that we understand things to exist according to how they appear, is not actually how things actually are. And that our experience of reality is illusory and dreamlike, and it is based on kind of this fundamental misunderstanding, or what we refer to as, the obscurations of ignorance or unawareness. But because there is this unawareness, then we have kind of this dualistic perception that is kind of based on grasping, the mind of self-grasping, and sort of being fixating to, or having attachment towards whatever it is that's kind of connected with the self or benefiting the self, and aversion to whatever we see, sort of it that we consider to be other, or that we see as sort of like a threat to the self. And so then we have these the sort of fundamental obscurations of what we refer to as the three poisons, which are ignorance, attachment, and aversion, or then sometimes these then become the 5 poisons. And then based on this proliferation of these 5 poisons, we create karma. And so then based on that karma, all of this outer appearance manifests as reality, what we think is reality, but it's really just illusory karmic display, karmic appearance. And so not understanding that, we grasp to it as real, we take it to be real, and we continue to perpetuate this cycle of suffering, or what we refer to as samsara, because there is this misunderstanding, and because of the perpetuation of the afflictive emotions, we continuously create the causes of suffering. And this is due to this not really understanding things as they actually are, that reality or phenomena actually lacks substantial nature, that is actually dreamlike and illusory, that is actually a product of our own mind. And so this
when this understanding, that really this is all not truly existent, what we experience, that it is based on the delusions, the temporary obscurations that come from that fundamental ignorance, and then things appear kind of as from this basis of ignorance. And so in this understanding itself, that understanding that the way that we perceive things is actually kind of distorted by ignorance, and that it isn't actually truly existent, that is more like a dream or an illusion. So even just understanding that is something that can help to lessen our suffering. So this is the way to actually move in the direction of freedom from suffering, by understanding first, kind of this, that there is this mistaken perception based on based on ignorance, and that the true nature of phenomena is actually that emptiness.
So anyway, we here we need to think about that everything is projection of our own mind, and sometimes in these texts is called mind nature, but it doesn't really matter. It's talking about your own mind. And Changchup, same waking mind, when say mind, is pointing toward your own mind. It's not talking about some out there philosophical, some sort of domain that's nothing to do with us. But it's
so not to understand awakened mind as like some objective thing that's outside of one's own mind.
Then the third paragraph. Kurndi kunjing over Changchup sense. Kurwa said samsara. Speaking in
yes, no, go ahead in English. Yeah, if you
Kurwa said not Dubochil Tsigorba. Dungargeranchi. Then do Kashiganola. Mevop tagus member that meg the Dungargeranchi in particular. Dokchingi Kabs, Kurva said, money trob meba indu, Kurva sayatayam, Kurbing over tayam, Changchup Sam race, Changchup Sam said, awaken mind. Then yen domani Changchup devare motto, Zarta
dumane.
Changchup deva, Changchup Sam. Motto Zarta, Sushapa Maimba. Tatita we Changchup Samte, Mayung, Marche, Mange, Lundrup said, Tangbo Hyung Manyomba, Part J Manyomba, and then Tama, Sana Tada. There is certainly
Jung Manyoma.
Tangbo Chung Manyomba, Part J Manyomba, and Tama say, Nada Tanda. There is certainly Muzung Shajumeva. That's when you drop a teller. And the Changchup Sam said.
So now the samsara is, ordinarily, or in like the context of sutra, for instance, it's something that we, it is the nature of suffering. It is something that that we think is bad or negative, that needs to be gotten rid of or reversed. And it is because, it is the nature of suffering. It is delusion, a product of delusion. But in the context of Dzogchen, because samsara, the phenomena of samsara, doesn't really exist, because the essence of samsara itself is the mind of awakening, or is the awakened mind, because it is primordially the nature of the expression of the ground. It is all kind of an expression of like in maybe enlightened awareness or the awakened mind. Then it has always been that in essence. It's not as though samsara was created as some other, or that it arose as some other separate thing that was different. And so the phenomena of samsara has no point of origination, or it isn't originated. It isn't in the beginning. It has no point of origination. In the end, it is not arisen, or it is non-arising, and in the end, it can't be identified, or it isn't identified. What would you say?
Indefinite. Yeah.
Okay. It is spontaneously arisen. It is spontaneously accomplished as kind of as the awakened mind. It is
Yes. So one thing here is we see this Longchenpa's writing has this chokni, majung, machi, mange,
Majung,
machi, mange.
machi, mange.
Then maong, kane maong, karyong, masong, songame.
Kang Mao. Oh, Dilla. Okay.
Yeah. Majung, machi, mange.
Yeah.
3.
So in the third chapter, or the third verse that we read, as it says, so Longchenpa here is saying, the essence of all samsara and nirvana is awakened mind. So that was what was just stated. Spontaneously present, not occurring, not originating, and not finite. It has not come from anywhere, nor does it go anywhere at all. The expanse of awakened mind, with no linear time frame, does not come or go, for it is infinitely pervasive.
And then Mangche kaksik negation jarno. Yina lundrup sayada chongchup sem sayanda gundu chapel dal sayada soyong negation marwa. Yina mena yang te darso cha chogres cha mena yang mo te dar mena yang rangi te darso shunji chobatang gundu chaba yong sigres. And the Matsu Sam no Shonkale Kabondwa. Karisana Savani Shimitar Yinayon Tarong Gunda Chap Chokbatang Shunji Truba Imbala so Yena Matsu Sam no Rogomarwa. Manro Nayong Asus Tedavu Longchenpage. Trivatang Zokchenge then Anduna Pechak no, the Rishi on the thing at so semed Namjuji Zinde Sa Yuvan Roach. May so do Meva Konaim, use it to Yuva Konaim. The Tinig in Zimbat, Shuyak Chetala, and the Rich. Some yours.
So here you have first, mostly, we have this series of negations, right? It's not occurring, it's not originating, it's not finite, it is, it doesn't come from anywhere, it doesn't go anywhere at all. And so there's all this negation, meaning kind of, illuminating that the non-existence aspect. But then it is followed by, it is spontaneously present. It is infinitely pervasive. So there are all of these words that also sort of signal, the presence of, or sort of the appearance aspect. And so, or the awakened mind, the all pervasive spontaneous presence, the expression or the display. So those aren't negations, but then you have the negation side. And so these both, these aspects being complete within the essence, it is hard for this to really be fully understood in our mind. Like, it's hard for us to grasp. And the reason for this is because we think of it as being, because it's contradiction. But here, there are these contradictions that appear, consistently throughout these Dzogchen texts. And they also illuminate the kind of problematic fixation of the mind that is so dualistic, because it's like, we either, if there's negation or if there's non-existence, then there's only non-existence. It's like the mind goes into it doesn't exist, it's empty. If there is existence, and the mind fixates to that kind of, oh, it exists, it is, there's existence. And it's difficult to really understand this sort of non-dual kind of inherent contradiction of both at once. That is both existent and non-existent.
It is sometimes very powerful because it's these paradoxical statements that give us sort of dilemma that we need to try to choose, either want to choose existence or non-existence. Both are, we call, extremes. Now we are studying Madhyamaka, so we know that the emptiness doesn't sort of stop to appear phenomena.
It doesn't stop phenomena from appearing.
And appearance does not stays in their nature to not empty, not to be empty. So these two rather helping each other, because due to their empty nature, things can appear in various ways. And looking at things appear in a different various things means they have there's no own nature. So you can that kind of logic you can put. But,
so it doesn't have self. The things that appear, when this is understood, the things that appear don't have their own self nature.
If you want to exercise our Madhyamaka logic, would be helpful. Anyway, we have one more. Yes, please.
Just a quick terminology question. Expanse, is that long or mean?
Well, so sometimes it can be, sometimes ying is translated expanse, sometimes long. Oh, in this verse, I think it's long, right? Expanse, expanse.
Yeah, it has the first paragraph has the expanse. Yeah, very expanse.
Is it long in
it's long.
the Tibetan? Yeah.
Third
paragraph.
Yeah, not that long. Yeah. Yeah, he used expanse as long.
and ying as basic space.
Yeah. Okay, Tibetan.
Mm-hmm.
Tong ta me chuni de jin cham tarang ka nyang ta be rang tong ta me de nga chi yo le de jing ga me de ngo bong ze ma me dong me de jin zon dong zhe.
Okay. So then the last paragraph on page 13. The true nature of phenomena, suchness, has no beginning, middle, or end. This state of infinite evenness, equal to space and pure by nature, has no beginning or end. It is beyond any time frame. It is unborn, unceasing, and has no substance or characteristics. It neither comes nor goes and cannot be characterized as something.
I think maybe if you have questions or want to discuss or comments, we can spend 10 more minutes, and then people, I guess, cannot stand anymore. Too much nonsense thing here. Any questions or comments online? Oh, okay. That's good. Then we will sit. Pardon Zaga Lama Ramboja Daga Jevra Meden Shula Kati Chembo Connection. Kusong To Jing Oda Zar Pardon Zaga Lama Jiba Chembo Rana Ten Raya Kunchin Macho. Ngang La Yin and Zimba Char, non Dai Chujiko. Chujiko La Nins Me. Try to look at your, how to say in English. Sometimes people, whenever I say that, people have more questions than how to, maybe you know how to say it in English.
The last time when you mentioned this, you said, look as if you were looking out through the back of your skull here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something like that? As if you were looking out, rather than out that way, you're looking this way.
Means then you are looking at your mind when you look that way. Is that understandable? Sometimes people ask me something like that is a trick or something. Sometimes people think that it's some sort of a Chinese Chan or Japanese Zan Gong'an that
As in koan, yeah.
Tricking mind. No, it's literal meaning. You just look at behind your neck or head.
It might be helpful to also mention that because in the Dzogchen meditation, you meditate with your eyes open. So it's like instead of looking out through your eyes, the looking is withdrawn inward. So it's like you're looking at out through the back of your head. But you're looking at you, not actually looking through. You're not trying to see behind. You're just looking at the nature of your own mind.
More like how people, most teachers never say look at your mind. That is, never say how to look at your mind. But the Gurje Rinpoche often point out that you need to look inwardly, try to look at your back of your head, by your eyeball. Why are you looking at? You should not have any judgment, or not trying to
too hard.
fix anything. We all have so many problems, but at this moment, don't try to fix problems, just relax. We can do another time to fixing things. Suppose this moment that the meditation itself corrects us to stop thinking, and also concept and thoughts should be stopped at this moment. And even so that concept, if you bring that concept to say, well, maybe that my thoughts are stopped at that moment, that's a thought, so you even cannot bring up any good or bad concept at that moment. If you practice more and more frequently, it cannot last too long, but short session practice, it will gain profound experience. So that is, having said that, I think we still have to dedicate, chant together to dedication.
So on page 24 of the prayer book. Bottom of the page. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drigungpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
Okay, I think that today is finished a little bit early, three minutes earlier than
2 minutes. Yeah. Oh yes. So
yes, please.
yeah, so we're having a really wonderful event that is happening soon, June 10th and 11th. It's a big prayer festival. We have different Tibetan teachers, lamas coming from all over the country. They'll be here for the whole weekend, and there will be a lot of chanting and prayers and meditation. We also will be providing lunch on both days, so there will be a catered lunch. And we hope you can make it. If everybody is welcome. Please come if you can. It should be a really beautiful celebration and just a fun time.
That is.
Anything else you'd like to say about it? Okay. June 10th and 11th. Thank you. 10 to 5.
Oh. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy nice weather.
Yeah.
Very nice weather.
Thank you. Happy Memorial Weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias, Soli.
Dorje dering mingong kalau zo tu kendo ina kongso chirang chilo la sakang doya ki charge yoselwa
Oh, yeah.
ma chapter chigo nene yang dorje je la gain sene chi ningen sala dogerwa tene dorje je la konda kala di zakar chigere la song
Oh, yeah. 주랑 가든 라.
na sanyin chuzu duba shoge chuzu duba kaya
어. Are you coming or maybe not?
yeah I don't think I can.
Okay. Should we discuss? Where we go?
So you guys have. Oh, I'm glad you make it. Yes, I know. I'm glad you made Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was just today. Thank you, and I hope I'll see you when I come back. And you'll come on maybe the 10th. Great. You're welcome. Wow. Your first time to do like that?